Wi-Fi and Water is a news and culture podcast hosted by Jarrett Carpenter. Each episode will explore local and global current events. Sometimes we'll have guests and sometimes they'll be in Spanish. If you'd like to be a guest or have an idea for a future episode's topic, please reach out to us on Instagram at Wi-Fi and Water Podcast. Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to the first episode of Wi-Fi and Water. For the first episode, I'd like to lay out the who, what, where, how, when, why, and WTF of the podcast. The who, well, that's me. My name is Jarrett. I'll be the podcast's host. I am a dual Colombian U.S. citizen, and I have a master's in international affairs from the New School in New York City. The what, it's a podcast. It's a podcast hopefully focusing on news and culture, but we're definitely going to stray away from that whenever we want to. It will sometimes be in Spanish, Spanglish, or definitely be code switching in English, depending upon the guest, depending upon the topic. It will also from time to time have guests, as I've just said about the code switching. And so, if you'd like to be a guest, please reach out to us on Instagram at Wi-Fi and Water Podcast. The where is really tied into the how, and I'm going to get to that next. But the where is essentially from wherever I'm currently at. I'm currently speaking to you from Beverly, Massachusetts, but that is definitely going to change. And I think that has to do with the how, so I'll get into the how next. The how will be through Anchor. Anchor is owned by Spotify, and it's a really simple app that gives people like myself a way to record, edit, and then publish podcasts. And I have more professional, equipment, like a, studio mic and better software to edit and, all of that type of stuff. But Wi-Fi and Water will really be a bare bones operation. It will normally be recorded in one take. And so there are going to be awkward moments and most likely profanity, but that is life. It's unedited and it's raw. And you normally, you don't have multiple takes. So Wi-Fi and Water is really going to focus on, quality content and creating content over, curation and production. Really, hopefully going along the lines of it's better to say something than to worry about, to say how you feel and to share your story than to, worry about was it perfect? Because nothing really is perfect, and most of the things that move culture and society forward are not perfect, but they continue to, move the dialogue forward. And we don't want to let hours of editing and perfectionism kind of get between us and sharing a message, between myself and the guests from sharing their message. The when is kind of up in the air. We might publish 3 in one day. We might do only 1 a week. The normal mainstream media news cycle is like breaking news every 5 seconds, breaking news, a la Wolf Blitzer. But that isn't always the case. Most times things aren't breaking. They may be breaking to the viewer, but most times they've been going on for a while, or they have their roots in other things. So we're gonna, the when is kind of gonna change, and we'll see how that takes form. Maybe we'll start to do it 3 times a week, 4 times a week. But for right now, it's kind of just more free flowing. When we have a new episode, we're gonna have a new episode. The why is really tied to a blog that I started personally about 10 years, a decade ago when I was in the Peace Corps in Guatemala. And I have been wanting to get that back online, but I didn't have the push to do it, probably because I can be a perfectionist about my writing, even if I'm not a good writer. And it would take me, I would want to write about something that happened today, but I wouldn't get it done for a week because I would just be stressing over it being perfect, and I'd want to find the photo and the link. And so this is really going to be a much better medium for me to be able to kind of share some of my thoughts and also pull in people easier from my friend group and from some colleagues and stuff. And the world has also just moved on from blogs. Audio and video are really where we are. And I know personally I love audio. I will listen to YouTube. YouTube's obviously audiovisual. It's obviously a video, but I will listen to someone talking, a TED Talk or something, and I just put that down, or someone's podcast that they've, recorded live, and I'll just put that down when I'm, cooking, or if I'm out working out, I will listen to that. I must also say that I'm not really into podcasts, so that's kind of interesting. So I don't really know how to do a podcast, if that sense. It's like, how do you explain to someone, what soccer is if they've never seen? So please reach out say, hey, what you're doing is great, but change the format. I'm not a podcaster, even though this is a podcast. I'm hoping that it's more just of a sharing of experiences, etc., and giving new perspective. And finally, I'm going to end with the WTF. I wanted to add this onto the who, what, where, how, when, why segment of the first episode, because the WTF is dedicated to the moment where this podcast, where Wi-Fi and Water is beginning. It's a mix of the 1918 flu in the United States, and globally, the Great Depression and globally, and in the United States, and this is happening all over the world, but the Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s. So we kind of have all three happening at one time, and it is kind of a perfect storm. And I think it's a time where, change is happening in real time. And it's also a moment where it's good to reflect so we can, best think about how to move forward. It's quite the time to be alive, and we're looking forward to discussing, documenting, and trying to make sense of kind of what's going on. And I'm excited to share some of my experiences, but really also create platforms for some of the amazing people that I know, some of my amazing friends, colleagues, and people I've met throughout my life. So I don't really know how to end our first episode, but I would say that's it. And we're excited to continue to move Wi-Fi and Water forward. And we will see you on the next episode. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at Wi-Fi and Water Podcast. And that's also how we're going to be communicating with people. So you can direct message us there. So that's all for our first episode of Wi-Fi and Water. And yeah, we hope everyone is well. Thanks.